In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this Starburst granny square using what I call the sunset colors, the white, the yellow, the orange, and the red. It's very simple and it makes a beautiful, beautiful blanket. So all that's coming up next on Crocheting with Nyler. During the pandemic, you saw me do a video on how to make this simple, inexpensive blocking board. And on the blocking board, I have what I call a Starburst square, and I had made a whole bunch of these during the pandemic. I'll leave a link to the video so you can see the video where I made these. But this is one of the squares, and as you can see, it has like a Starburst look. It's kind of like branching out from the sides. I want you to see the blanket that I made from those squares. I joined them with a black, and it's actually a two-sided blanket. So I took all of these squares that I made here and connected them all together, and you see I have all these different colors. We have the greens, we have the browns, and then of course my favorite is the red Starburst. So this is the one I'm going to show you guys how to make today. But I also want to show you the back side. Once you flip it over, you see how the back side has another look. You're getting a whole nother pattern. It looks like just a basic granny square. But once you flip it over, you see now you've got the Starburst. So once you flip it over, you see now you have the Starburst. And like I said, you see the black where I joined all the squares together. And then you can see on the back, you can see how the black that I lined or joined them with, it has a raised, it's a raised pattern. So it makes it kind of interesting. So I'm going to show you how I did this square to make the orange red Starburst. I kind of call this sunset because it has all the colors that would be in the sunset. So I've collected my yarns. I'm starting with the white, then I'm going to the yellow, then I'm going to the orange, and then I'll finish it off with the red. So for starters, this is very simple. Let me take this one off so you can kind of see what we're doing. So it's a very simple pattern. I'm going to zoom in. Basically, you're doing a granny square, and you're doing 2 rows of each. You're doing 2 rows. It'll be 2 rows of the white, 2 rows of the yellow, 2 rows of the orange, and we'll finish off with 1 row of the red. So let's get started. I am using a J hook. You can use any size hook that you choose to use. I just happen to like choosing the J hook. So I'm going to start with a basic granny square. So let me go ahead and do that. To do my granny square, I like to start with a chain of 4. So chain 4. Alright, that's the basic circle. I want my circle to be as small as possible, so that's why I'm doing a 4. So now I'm going to slip stitch in the first stitch to make a hole, and now we have our little hole right there. There's our little hole. So now you're going to chain 3 because we're going to be working with double crochets, and now you're going to do 2 more double crochets into that circle. Okay, now you can do either one. You can chain 1 or you can chain 2. Well, these are corners. And on my corners, I like to chain 2. Some people like to chain 1. Some like to chain 3. It's however big you want that hole to be. So I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then I'm going to work 3 double crochets into that same hole. Whoops. Trying to get away from me there. 2, and finally the 3rd. Now we're going to chain 2 again, And you notice I'm actually working over the tail, so I'm holding the tail as I work so that I can kind of encase it. So we're going to do 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, chain 2. All right. Now we've got one more set to go. You can see now we have our corners, so let's do 3 more double crochets in there. And then we're going to chain 2 again to finish off. Put the tail behind there. And you're going to, some like the crochet in the top of the 3rd stitch, and some like the crochet in the top of the 1st double crochet. And I am slip stitching into that top of the 3rd chain there. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So insert the hook into the 3rd, and then I'm going to slip stitch. Now once I slip stitch, you see I am not in a corner. I'm actually at the beginning of this row. So I'm going to slip stitch all the way to the corner because I like to start and stop in a corner. So I'm going to just go under each stitch and do a slip stitch until I get to the corner. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the corner. So now that gives us our first circle that's right here in the middle. That's that very first one right in the middle. So now we want the row 2. There are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are a total of 7 rows with 4 colors. So now you're going to chain 3, and you'll do that at the start of every row. Chain 3, and you're going to work 2 more double crochets into that corner or that chain 2 space. Chain 2 and work 3 more in the exact same hole. Okay, and that gives us our corner for our 2nd row. Now, because we want to join in between to get to the next corner, you're going to chain 1. And then you're going to work 3 double crochets into that next corner. Chain 2. And you're going to work 3 more double crochets in that same stitch or that same corner. Chain 1. You're going to continue this all the way around until you have 4 corners with 2 sets of 3 double crochets with 2 chains in the middle. Now I have all mine done, and I slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 space. So now I'm going to continue on. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the 2, but I'm not going to slip stitch into the hole. This is where you're going to cut your yarn. And I like to leave a nice little tail that I can weave back in. So now what you want to do is grab your next color, which is going to be the yellow. Now this is a bright yellow. It's brighter than the yellow I used in the other one. So I'm just going to pull out a little bit here. You're pretty much doing the same thing, but you're going to have a little change now that the center is done. So what you're going to do now is insert your hook into the hole, grab your yellow yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch. And now what I like to do is flip it over on the back, and I take those 2 and I tie those 2 tails together. That's just me. I like security. I normally tie 2 and sometimes 3, and I think in this case 2 will be sufficient. So by doing that, what happens is you have the last of the white sitting on top, and the yellow will now go inside, making your chains. So you're going to grab the tails, hold on to the tails, and now you're going to chain 3. You're going to work 2 more double crochets into that hole. You're pretty much doing the corners the exact same way that you did them with the other ones. And then 3 more. Okay, and then chain 1. So now that we got that first corner done, you're done with these tails because now you got to weave them in. We're going to push them to the back. Now for the next stitch, so all the stitches that are not corners, This is what you're going to do for every one that's not a corner. So we got this one chain one space. You're going to double crochet into that chain one space. Now you're going to do a triple crochet. So you're going to yarn over twice, and this time, let me zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. This time you're going to front loop crochet over this middle stitch in the previous row. So we have our 3 loops on there. You're going to reach behind it, pull the yarn up, loop over 2, loop over once, pull through 2, loop over, yarn over once, pull through 2, yarn over once, pull through 2. So what that does, it gets that stitch to stand up to the same height as your double crochet. And this is what makes the starburst. So now that you've got that one in the middle, so you'll always do that with the second of the 3 double crochets. Now you'll put another double crochet in that same set right there. So now you got your 3 sets. It's just one of them reaches down. It's like it's got an arm, and it's stretching, and it's reaching, and it's wrapping around the middle one of the previous row. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to work our corners as normal. That's 3 double crochets. Pull out some more yarn. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 more double crochets, chain 1. So I finished my row 1 of my yellow color, and you can see how the starburst is actually forming. You got these raised marks right here. So now we're going into the second and the last row of the color yellow. Now this row will be your repeat row. This row was different. These 2 rows were different. Every row from here on out is going to be a repeat. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. So you're going to double crochet in that first row, or that first hole, yarn over, do the exact same thing, work in the back, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and double crochet in the same hole. And I know my hands are covering this up, but I'll show you. So now they're kind of staggering. You see this one dropped down on that row. Now this one drops down on this row. And you'll repeat the same thing with this one going on this row all the way around. So I've come to the corner and I finished my yellow, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it because I don't need it anymore. We're done with the yellow because it just needs 2 rows. But I wanted to show you the pattern design. You can see it coming into play. None of the corners have the starburst on them, as you notice that. And now you've got one here, one long here, and one here. This is what's going to keep growing. These lines are going to keep growing and keep getting bigger. As you can see, the lines all connect. They keep connecting. Even though they're connecting with different colors, they keep connecting. So now I'm going to join my orange, which is my next color. So I'm going to loop over, pull my yarn through, flip it over, tighten it, and then tie these 2 colors in a nice little knot. Now hold on to the tails, and we're going to repeat the same thing we just did on the previous row with the yellow. We're doing this with the orange, but this is where the beautiful thing happens on this row, because this row is going to elongate the little starburst. So I'll show you what I mean once I get this one done here. Okay, move that back. Alright, so now we're working in our next row, so it's that one underneath right there. Not this one, but this one. So I'm going to do my double crochet, yarn over twice, go behind that center one, yarn over, double pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and one more double crochet. chain 1. Alright, so now we have that done where it's connecting by itself. But now the next one, what we're going to do, we don't have a middle one. The middle one is already being used. So let me show you what we're going to do on that one. You're going to work a double crochet into the hole, yarn over twice. Now you're going to do the same thing, but you're going behind this big piece right here, because that's the loop that's extended. That's the triple crochet. So you're going to wrap around, same thing, yarn over twice, yarn over, pull through twice, yarn over, pull through twice, yarn over, pull through twice, do another double crochet in the same hole, and chain 1. So now let me show you what has happened there. So as you can see, what's happening is you're connecting, the colors are blending. So as you can see, the yellow is blending in with the orange, and so on. And as we get further out, the red will start blending. So you're going to keep doing this all the way around. Remember, when you get to these here, to this one here, you're going to go down to the second stitch. And once you get to this one that's long, when you go down to the second stitch, you're going to go behind that little triple crochet. So continue this all the way around until you meet back at the corner. So I'll meet you back at the corner. Well, I wanted you to see how far I've gotten. So I've done that first row. You can see the starburst starting to happen because we're grabbing all of the yellow and the orange are merging. So I'm on my second and my final row of the orange, and we're still going under those loops, and we'll keep doing that until we complete it. And like I said, every row that you add on, or every color, you're going to notice the starburst starting to take place. So continue on all the way around till you get to the end, and then I'll show you the final row. Okay, so I finished my orange, and as you can see, you see the starburst taking place. You can see all of the orange coming out with the yellow and the white in the center. So now we've got this one final row, and that's my favorite row. That's the trim row. So I'm going to cut this one again because we're done with the orange. And now we're going to bring in the red, this is the finishing touch. Same thing as we done before, loop over. And we're going to insert the hook, grab the red, and loop through. And of course, as always, tie them off, tie a nice knot. Alrighty. So now this is going to be our defining row, as I call it. This is the row that's going to make everything look pretty. At least in my opinion it does. So I'm going to grab the tails first so we can crochet over the tails in the corner. Same thing, chain 3. And you're going to, work your corner. Now you want to make sure you're using the same type of yarn for all your colors. It doesn't have to be the same brand. It just has to be the same type, the same weight, the same thickness. Because if it's a thinner or a more softer yarn, you're going to get a different look, and it may not stretch out like it should. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the red. So I'm going to do one with you on camera, and then we'll do the rest off. I want you to see the difference the red makes once you start adding it. So I'm going to work my double crochet. Now I'm going to grab the row underneath. And then do my double crochet, chain 1. Now this hole, you're going to see all 3 colors together. And that's going to be the yellow, the orange, and the red all coming together. And then one more double crochet, chain 1. Okay, so let me show you how that looks. See, the red kind of finishes it off. It grabs the 3 colors, but the next one is the one that's going to grab all 4 colors. So let's do that one. Double crochet, yarn over twice, triple crochet, grab the next row, and double crochet back in the same hole. So now you can see that red. Let me see if I can zoom in, if the camera can get it. So now you see that red. It almost looks the same color a little bit on the camera, but you can slightly see it, and that's really what you want. The closer the colors are to each other, the better the ombre that you get. Well, I have finished my block, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn on my red, because I'm done with the red too. And I'm just going to do a slip stitch and pull the yarn through. So now let me take it off of this green so you can see the impact it makes. Isn't that just gorgeous? Doesn't that look like a sunset? And like I said, the more your colors are closer to each other, like you could do a white, then an ivory, and then a taupe, and then a coffee. You can just work it. And the closer the colors are together, the more ombre effect you get. And it's so beautiful. So this is pretty much your square. Of course it needs blocking, but I don't block it right away other than putting it on the block board. So to put it on the block board, I just start with my corners first. And that makes it so much easier for me to do the corners. And I know mine ain't standing up correct, but it's okay, it works. So once I got the corners, then I'll come back and I'll put it in the middle hole on each side. And on this one. And then I just slide it down. So what this will do, it will act as kind of keeping everything nice and straight until you're ready to sew all your squares together. That's how simple and easy it is to make the Starburst granny square. So I hope this tip has been helpful, and I hope that you try it. Happy crocheting!